The question is, can it be practiced? And if it cannot be practically experienced, then only intellectually accepting it makes no sense whatever. Because by argument you can bring, various things can be put in a convincing way. In fact, in these legal parlors, when you go to the court of justice, who is likely to win the case? It is said that not whether truth is on your side or not, but if your lawyer can make the best case, then the judgment would be in your side, more likely to be in your side, even if your side is not actually true. And we know many such examples where people know that it is not right, but the result of the case, because of the very powerful arguments placed by the lawyer and various other tricks used, the justice was not done. So, intellectual understanding or argumentation is not a very convincing way. In fact, that is what actually the basis of what is called physical science, that it has to have the practical demonstration. Like it is a commonly intellectually understood thing just by common sense that if suppose you have two balls, one made of wood and one made of steel, now same size, same shape, now of course the weight will differ tremendously. The iron ball will be much heavier. But if the question is asked, if you drop those two balls from say height say of 200 feet, which will hit the ground first, the common sense will tell, oh, of course, the iron ball, because it is heavy, it is going to make it first. Now, whether to accept it or not to accept it, Galileo decided to make experiment, that instead of saying yeah or nah only on the basis of intellection, why not let us conduct a simple experiment. He went to as the anecdote goes, on that tower of Pisa, and then dropped two such things, and they hit the ground at the same time. So now it proves that it is not a function of its weight. There is something different. And so now you have a basic idea that yes, the facts are facts. You cannot fight with facts by theories. They are elephant in the room, you cannot just wish them away. They are there. So this is how the yoga came as the practical side. Unfortunately, in modern times, especially in the Western world, the yoga word is understood only to mean some physical postures for getting better flexibility and good health and so forth, which is correct, but it is only a very, very tiny part of the whole system of yoga. Yoga is the way to change your life that will then present the life of truth. Your this war between the intellect and that actual life will end then. Both will go in harmony. What you think as right, your life also demonstrates that. For example, the same statement that we made in the beginning, which intellectually is very easy to hold on to at the level of intellect, yes, that the same self is in all different bodies. Practically, no, I am better than you. I am good, you are. So it is, so it is, the I is separate. This is the work that I did, so I must get the result of it. I work hard, and then why you should get money for it? I am different from you is the experience. But when you practice the yoga, then you can actually see the same I in everybody. So, this is how the science of yoga transforms the life. And not only that, it gives the practical methods to do it. So that now life is led in harmony. Your intellect, your emotions, and your body all will be working in harmony. Lot of our problems, especially this psychological problems, spring up from this disharmony between our different faculties. Our intellect pulls us in one way, our emotions drag us in another way, and the body likes to go the third way. And therefore we have so much of the problem of these things not getting together. Not only that the people in the society, different people, they are not coming together. Our own personality, the three aspects of our own personality, they too do not go hand in hand. That therefore, when one practices yoga, all three get harmonized. And this is something that can be demonstrated and also is made available for everyone who wants. So that is yoga. And what gets called as science, this word has become really so much ill-used that one scientist told me about this. We had a seminar on science and religion. So, is religion scientific? And he said in just discussion with me that now I feel that a disgusting sense when I call religion as a science. It is much superior than what gets called science. Science is not really scientific. An important statement, what gets called as science, they are not scientific enough. Whereas in religion, you see, the test of being scientific is completely fulfilled. Especially this yoga is far more scientific than any other physical science can ever think of achieving. It is not possible for any physical science to be that scientific because of its dependence on instruments. its dependence on instruments. What are these instruments? Our sense organs and our intellect. This is a machine that we use to comprehend the truth. And therefore, what happens is whatever is shown by this instrument, that alone is seen as true. If I put on, say, red glass, everything will appear to be red. And then I can't help it. This is how the instrument is. So the instrument of body, the sensory organs and the intellect, these instruments are the word instrument is also really not that right word. Instrument is where we become enabled to see things right. If an instrument is making us comprehend the thing as it is not, can you call them instruments? For example, the same example we can take, I put red these specs. And I told also in last class, I think somewhere, that an incident, suddenly while driving, I looked at the car's odometer and nothing was seen. What's happening? Something wrong with the car. And then, we have to take it to mechanic, and I was thinking like that, and was wondering, what speed I am going, it is because unless you see that, you don't know how much, at what speed we are going. Let me tell you a story, an incident. Many years ago, one of our devotees, a wonderful devotee, she passed away also about exactly 11 years ago. So, she was at that time about 83, and I was at Marshfield, about 60 miles from Providence. And she just called and said, "Is there some class today?" I said, "Yes, we'll begin at 11 o'clock. And then she said, "Okay, I'll come." It was already 9:30. And then I saw her walking in before 11 o'clock. I said, "Wow, Shankari, you must be driving at 90 miles an hour. How did you?" Said, "Maybe, I don't know." "If police catches you, what will you say?" She said, "I will tell the officer, 'Officer, I can't see that far.'" So, I can't see that far. So, it is. Of course, it was all in humor, but it is. See, so then I realized that I am not seeing that far only because I have put on the dark glasses. It was rather too sunny, and then while driving forgot that I had those glasses on my eyes, and thus I could not see. There was nothing wrong with the odometer or car or whatever. What was wrong? The dark glasses. Now, as far as looking at the odometer is concerned, shall I call them as instruments? They are obstruction, not an instrument. And exactly like that, using our sense organs and our brain to understand the world, well, they are not instruments but obstructions. This fact, friends, is to be realized. We have not calibrated those instruments. We used to be told that, well, you have to calibrate instrument. We used to have a pipette, and so with another instrument you calibrate whether the pipette's this volume is correct or not. There were some other electric instruments, you needed to calibrate those. Now the question is, have we calibrated our sense organs? We just blindly accepted, friends, what they have been showing us. And then whatever is based on that, we went on calling it as science. How scientific are we? It is, we are not very scientific, friends. But this science of yoga, first thing it tells you is that these instruments will not be able to help you in discovering the truth about who you are, about what is the truth, and therefore one has to keep them aside. Just like when I took off my dark glasses, I could see the odometer. We have to keep aside this instrument of body and mind. I will quote from one beautiful verse from Kathopanishad here, that it is a discussion between the disciple, a young boy with tremendous intense desire to realize the truth, and is being instructed by the teacher who is the god of death. So he tells, look, the instruments that you use, they are not going to give you the knowledge of the truth, so keep them aside. Paranchi khani vyatrunat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman. These sense organs, they are called in this Upanishad, right word, holes. They are holes through which the world gets into us. The eyes, they get a part of the world called form, color, and so forth. Through these holes that enters us. Through the holes called ears, something else enters us. So these are the holes. And how are these holes? Well, they only see the outer world. They are not capable of seeing the inner reality. Tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman. That these defective organs, they only will tell you about the forms, these, that, outside. Nothing inside can be revealed by them, and therefore those who want to see the self, kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanamaikshat, some intelligent people who want to know the truth. That is the criterion of being intelligent, that I want to know the truth. Most of us are comfort seekers. We adhere to truth only if it is comfortable. Otherwise, the truth and we are not connected. I don't care about it. If it is comfortable, then we accept it, not otherwise. So it is, he says that the intelligent person who actually wants the truth, kaschid dhira pratyagatmanamaikshat, that one who wants to see the same self in everyone, pratyagatma, a beautiful word, very difficult to translate in English, that self which dwells in everything, pratyagatma, that if you want to use that, avritta chakshu amritatvamichan, first get rid of these, this burden of these instruments. You cannot keep these instruments attached to you and know the truth. First remove those, cover those, and then you will have the understanding of truth. So this is where the yoga wants this, to understand the instrumentality involved in our perception. We have to use different instruments for the experiencing the truths of yoga system. It is available for everyone. In the same Kathopanishad, the end verse is very beautiful, that the Nachiketa was told his truth, and by learning these truths, what happened? Mrityu prokta nachiketoth labdha. That is how this science is, that the god of death proclaimed these truths to the disciple Nachiketa, and not only as an intellectual discipline, but Vidyametam Yoga Vidhim cha Kritsnam. All the steps involved, if you read Kathopanishad, you will see how the step-by-step development is given there, how we can realize the truths. You feel more convinced that it is, oh, there is a place, oh, such and such place is there. Yes. You know, there is an Indian store there in Attleboro. Is it? Oh, yes, there is an Indian store there. Can we go there? Yes. Then you feel, yes, it is there, that it is not a fairy tale. You can actually go there. Then it is told you have to go take this route. You have to take this route 152 or whatever, and then you can drive there. Okay, and so you now know exactly how far it is by using your GPS. How many miles? You know that. And how much time it will take? That also is told. So now you feel convinced that there is such a thing. So that is what is given to this disciple, and through that disciple to everyone, that this is the path. And so it is not just for some people, it is for everyone who wants to go. Nobody compels me to go to that Indian store. If I want, I can go, that's all. Not that I am compelled to go. Not all are compelled to study the yoga. If you want happiness in life, then study it. If you don't want happiness, why you don't want Teresa happiness? You okay? Yeah, she says she wants happiness. Do you want happiness, Devanil? No? Yes, okay, yeah. Yeah, you want happiness. So those who want happiness, they should do it. It is, if you don't want happiness, nobody compels you, okay? Then suffer, fine. It is your choice. But if you want it, then okay, here is the path. Come on. Anybody who wants can get it. Here is the path. Just you have to walk. There is, if you want to go there and I walk, that will not happen. You have to go there, you know. It is so, that last line says, anyone else also, anyopyevam vidadhatmameva, that any other person also, Nachiketa Brahma Prapto Virajo Abhud Vimrityu, that is what Nachiketa got, that he realized the ultimate all-pervading truth, Brahma Prapto, and thereby went beyond death, became immortal, and anyone who does it will get the same result. That is an important test of being scientific, replicability. If you see, the one important idea in science is it should not be personal, that only this person can experience and not others. That makes it unscientific. It should be impersonal something. And yes, this science of yoga is impersonal, does not depend on your nationality, your race, the color of your skin, your age. Nothing matters. If you walk by this path, you will get it. It is true even for somebody who is, say, dwelling in some other galaxy, the same truth will hold. It is because it is universal, completely impersonal. The senior Swami, before I came here, Swami Sarvagatananda, used to tell the difference between the physical science and the science of religion or science of yoga. That he says two things are common, that the truths of physical science and science of yoga both are universal. Also, both are impersonal, agreed. The law of gravitation did not depend on Newton. Anybody who wants can have it. It is like they, it is a fact, a sad thing, but it is a fact that for many years some scientists refused to accept Einstein's theory. Why? Anti-Semitism. Einstein is Jewish. How can the truth come out? See, this kind of attitude even is, and that time I don't want to tell names, but many renowned scientists kept this attitude at that time. Were they scientific? No. Science has to be impersonal. That whether you are a Buddhist or a Taoist or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian or a Jewish person, whatever it may be, it doesn't depend on your religion either. Impersonal. These two are common between science of yoga and this physical science. But science of yoga scores over the physical science in third criterion, and that is the truths of yoga are eternal. Truths of science are subject to change. They are not eternal because it is empirical science. Physical science is empirical. That is, the truths are dependent on whatever data we get. And as the new data comes, these truths are therefore subject to change. And therefore, a very important statement, somewhat startling for those who tremendously are attached to physical science. In principle, physical science cannot prove anything. It cannot prove anything by its very nature. It can disprove, but it cannot prove. Why? Now please pay attention. The truths derived in physical science are dependent on whatever data, whatever facts are available now. But can you be sure that a fact will not surface after some time which will disprove this. That guarantee nobody can give, because nobody has that crystal ball. New truths will come which will then falsify this. In a celebrated book by Stephen Hawking, The Brief History of Time. Stephen Hawking, as you know, was the most celebrated scientist of our times, a physicist of great repute and lot of accomplishments. So in this book he says that this is the nature of the truth of science. They are basically empirical. And so, to put it humorously, he said, I have betted that there are actually no black holes. I have put a bet with my friend that there are no black holes. And when asked, why do you do it? You have done so much research on black holes. He said, exactly, that is the reason. This bet is like an insurance policy against my research on black holes. Because tomorrow's scientific discoveries can may reveal that there is nothing like a black hole. Then in that case what will happen? All my research goes down the drain. But then I at least have the consolation of winning the bet, you see. So this is a very beautiful way of highlighting this deficiency of physical science, that it is the truths are not eternal, whereas the truths of yoga are eternal because they take us beyond this time. That is why they are eternal. There is no ancient or modern there. You will see the same thing, therefore, that was told 5,000 years ago is applicable even now too. So this is the idea. Let me quote something from Swami Vivekananda's book Raj Yoga here. Raj Yoga was Swami Vivekananda's first book on this system of yoga, almost contemporary to other book Karma Yoga. But the book Raj Yoga was first published, and then it created lot of waves in the Western world. Swami Vivekananda is the first to introduce the yoga to the Western world, and in this he told that how yoga is scientific in its essence. And he says, since the dawn of history, I am basing this lecture mostly on this particular chapter. It is actually the preface and introduction of this book that Swami Vivekananda speaks these things. And he says, he begins, since the dawn of history, various extraordinary phenomena have been recorded as happening amongst human beings. Witnesses are not wanting in modern times to attest the fact of such events, even in societies living under full blaze of modern science. That is true even now. So many extraordinary phenomena are seen, and we are not able to provide any scientific explanation of those. And so maybe like this, this might be happening. Who knows what is happening? That it is, we really do not know. If you ask a doctor that, and I have got this answer many times, that those people who have migraine, Terrible headache, a terrible problem. It is. I have seen some of them banging their head on wall because the pain is so unbearable at times. And then, what is the cause of it? They are clueless. Why it happens? There can be 1,001 causes for that. And we don't know what is happening. That is how it is in medical science. This you can see how it is all so empirical. Is true for one person, not true for another person. Okay, try this medicine. In some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't work. Almost all of you must have experienced this, that it is not that all medicines are surely going to work for all. It is because there are extraordinary phenomena. It is, and Swamiji says even now those are happening, things which we cannot really explain. Simple things of our day-to-day experience, they are still very big problems for modern physics. The simple thing, why sky appears dark at night? What is how the sky looks now? Dark. Why does this sky look dark at night? There is still not satisfactory answer on the basis of all modern science even now. So there are theories, but that's about it. It is so, Swamiji says, it is not the sign of a candid and scientific mind to throw overboard anything without proper investigation. Surface scientists, this is the term that he has used in this preface to the book of Raja Yoga, that unable to explain the various extraordinary mental phenomena, strive to ignore their very existence. Just they do away. No, such a thing doesn't exist. So many psychologists say mind doesn't exist. Only brain exists. Mind doesn't exist. And this is you can see many books of psychology. They begin with this premise that it is the brain and not mind, and identify mind with brain. Which is so ridiculous a thing, but still they adhere to such an idea that there is no mind, but we are psychologists. What do we study then? There is no psyche, but we are psychologists. So, a funny idea. So, it is, whereas the Yoga takes into account all these things, investigates them. Just because you cannot see mind, you just discard. No, there is no way of seeing the mind, and therefore mind does not exist. Brain, yes, we can see brain, and therefore brain exists. So let us study the brain. It is like saying that we do not see electricity, but we see these lights. So electricity doesn't exist. The statement amounts to something like that. Now, fortunately, since all of them use computers, many of them have come to understand that there is something that we cannot see, but that runs what we see. It is called software, Software. You cannot see software, but that is what runs what you can see, called hardware. So, it is body that you see, brain, something you see. Again, that is a question, whether you see using the brain, and can you see brain itself? Then who is seeing what? It is a very funny question here. But let us not go to that. Let us see what Swami Vivekananda says. that it is the science of yoga, he says, it is all the orthodox systems of Indian philosophy have one goal in view, the liberation of the soul through perfection. The method is by yoga. The word yoga covers an immense ground, but both the Sankhya and Vedanta schools point to yoga in some form or the other as the means of liberation. So, and what happens in the practice of religion is the way they are preached. In preaching, it becomes easier for the so-called authorities to preach it as a belief system. You just have to believe, that's all. And therefore, it does not remain science anymore. Many religions make a claim that, okay, these great truths had been experienced by the founders of that religion. Yes, Jesus experienced these truths. But now people cannot experience it. That was the one time that happened, and no more to be witnessed again. You cannot see that anymore. You have to take it on belief or faith. It is, Vedanta does not say that, does not support that idea. If one Buddha, one Jesus has experienced it, then each of us has the potential to experience those truths for ourselves. And actually, what Jesus says, say for example in Sermon on the Mount, is the path given that you can also realize that. It is, this is an assurance, and it is, the method is, you investigate, you experiment, and you will realize the truth. And because the conclusion is true, the proper investigation into it will make you realize it. It is, for example, if you want to find out Jim, and then Jim, since he is in the hall, if you properly look for, you will discover Jim here. But suppose somebody is looking for this Jim somewhere, say in his hometown, then they will not find him there because he is not there. Now, citing this discussion, one of the greatest teachers of Vedanta and Yoga, Shankaracharya, mentions that Bhuta Vastu Vishayatvad Anubhav Avasanatvacha Brahma Vijnanasya. Brahma Vijnan, he uses the word Brahma Vijnan, that this is a Vijnan, a science, that, and therefore proper investigation into this nature of reality will reveal the reality, just as investigation into finding out Jim will reveal Jim here. Exactly like that, because this self exists, because this self is, and so if you investigate, you will realize it. That is how yoga gives a complete scientific method. It is told here that what is the method that you have to use, and Swami Vivekananda in this book gives that every science has its own methods, own instruments. If you want to study, say, microbiology, you use a microscope. Microscope, what do you use microscope, Sarah? She uses microscope because she looks into all the biological things and tiny microbes and all that. So she uses a microscope. But astronomer, somebody who wants to study the celestial objects in the sky, can that person use a microscope? Has to use a completely opposite instrument called telescope. So every science has its instruments. You cannot say, I want to study astronomy, but I want to use only microscope. Then how can you study? I mean, it is not an instrument prescribed for that study. You have to use the prescribed instrument. And so, if you want to realize the ultimate truth, the prescribed instrument is practice of yoga or practice of meditation. Meditation is actually a name. Again, that word is getting used too much, and so without any really much meditation about it. So, meditation is the process by which you learn to transcend, get rid of this instrument called body and mind, and go to the realm now where you can see the truth. Then it is not belief. And you can see the stages of development. The meditation develops in stages, like the path to, say, the Indian grocery store. It will develop. You have gone, say, 3 miles, you have gone 5 miles, you have gone 10 miles, and then you reach there. So there are the stages. So here also there are the stages in development. There is a beautiful book here by one Frank Alexander. He was one of the early Vedantists, a follower of Swami Vivekananda, and went to India and was staying in Mayavati, the center there in the Himalayan hills. So he mentions in that book written by him that the title of the book is In the Hours of Meditation, a very beautiful book, that how the various things unfold as you meditate, and then you are now seeing the world which was earlier covered because of your addiction. Addiction. That is the word I deliberately am using. Addiction to this body and the sense organs. You could not separate yourself from that. Even though you know that you are not that, there are so many simple proofs to show that you are not body. But since one cannot easily experience that, we just tend to brush aside that. But by process of meditation, you gradually learn to see the tremendous, big world, a big universe that is within you. And thus you will see the glory of that. You will see that you are infinite. Your search for happiness by running after various things in the world, I want that, I want that, I want that, that will stop. Because you will discover that you are bliss. Where will the sugar go if the sugar wants sweetness? Well, it is sweetness. Sugar doesn't need to go to something else to become sweet. It's sweetness. You will see actually you are bliss. And so now you will have the bliss all the time. It will not depend on circumstances. Oh, it is, the weather is very bad, very cloudy and cold, and it is going to rain and snow. all my happiness is gone. But if you realize just this truth, then your happiness will never go away, because you are happiness. Just as the sweetness of sugar cannot be taken out, similarly, our happiness will never be taken out. And therefore, those great scientists of yoga have prescribed that if you want happiness, and all of you have said, yes. So now, follow this path, and you will see that happiness which actually is yours, not controlled by external situation. It does not depend on how your spouse is treating you today. It does not depend on whether it is going to snow or rain. It doesn't depend whether patriots won or lost. So it is, your joy does not depend on that. Because it is now in your nature. Your nature is that. Thank you, friends. If you have questions, we will meditate on these ideas for 30 seconds. And if you have some question, please come forward and ask. Yeah. Yes, please. Okay, John.
Okay, path to happiness. There are a lot of people that'll claim, come my way, you'll get happiness. You won't. There's one saying I cannot stand in the 12-step program. It says, my life is now second to none. I cannot stand it because I don't feel that is valid. I feel that's a conclusion to jump to. But, people claim, well, I went through the steps, now my life is second to none. But how can you validate that point? How can you
Well,
that is the truth?
it is, if that person says and that person experiences that my life is second to none, and if that is that person's unchanging, constant experience, then first thing is that you have to see that it is true for that person. Yeah, you have to observe. Yeah, exactly. You have to observe. Or take the statements from those who have observed that person. So it is, that is one thing. Then I am second to none. Everybody can then come to that level. I am second to none will become everybody's statement, that you follow this path and you are second to none. That is why Lord Shri Krishna at the end of Bhagavad Gita asks the disciple Arjuna, oh, have you properly heard what I have been telling? Kachidetat shrutam. Have you heard this? Because many a times, like I am talking, many of you are not hearing, So it is, half the things are not heard also. So it is, Arjuna is asked, have you heard? Kachidetat shrutam partha tvayaikagrena chetasa. Have you heard with concentration? And then, if after hearing this, what you should do? Then in the next verse it says that vimrushyeta asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Pay heed to what I have said. I am not snatching away your freedom. It is not that if you don't do this, we will condemn you to hell. No. That is not the kind of religion that yoga preaches. It is up to you. Vimrushyeta dasheshena, think about it. And then yathechasi tatha kuru. Then whatever is your desire, do accordingly. So this is how, if that person prescribes the steps for you, and if you think that they are valid, they stand to reason. In Vedanta they give therefore these three tests called Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Means whether it is according to the this description of the sages, that is called Shruti. Have the sages who have achieved this state, have they also said it like this? Yukti means apply the test of reason to filter out what is, superstitions and miracles. Reason is like a police officer. A police officer doesn't tell you that give a charity donation or do community work unless you have committed some crime, and that is what is assigned by the judge, do community service. But otherwise the police officer will not say you have to help others. That is not the police officer's job. What police officer will do though? If the police officer sees that you are trying to murder somebody, then will stop you, will arrest you. So that is the reason is like that. It doesn't tell you the truth, but it can filter out the untruth. So run that under this trainer of reason, and then Anubhuti. See if you follow it, are you getting that experience or not? Then you can be convinced about it. Yes, Charlie?
In physical science, everybody can see the results, so you know what everybody basically agrees.
Yeah.
But with religion, there's also loyalties. And it seems like Thakur says that all religions are paths to God, but I feel like to accept one path, you have to reject the other path. Because other people are saying you have to do it this way, and we're saying you have to do it this way. And it's hard to deal with that because of different loyalties.
Well, they say that is how it is. The problem is about the preaching or propagation of religion, not with religion itself. Second thing is there's all different paths, but you should follow your path. Like if I am here and I have to go to the grocery store, that Indian grocery store, then I have to follow my path, that path. But this Kashmika lives on the other side of that shop. So she has to go exactly the opposite path, you see. So that is why both are correct. I need not follow her path. She doesn't need to follow my path. It is exactly like that. Because of the difference in our position, difference in language, difference in the style of understanding, difference in the historical and cultural background. We have all these different religions. They are, all these religions, they are true, but that does not mean they are same. Just people jump to this irrational thought that all religions are same. No, all religions are not same. Just as my road to the Indian grocery store is not the same as her road to Indian grocery store. They are same in the sense only that they lead you to the same goal. So, in that sense they are same. Is 4 quarter same as $1? 4 quarter same as $1? Come on, can you answer? Yes or not?
Yes.
Well, no. If you see their weight, they are not same. 4 quarters will weigh much more than $1 bill, you see. So it is their value when you go to buy things is same. And that also it varies. In some places you have to put quarters, in the machine to get something, the parking thing, or earlier the tolls also you had to throw the coins. And if you don't have the coin, you have to somehow go somewhere get the coins. So in that sense also dollar is not 4 quarters. But their purchasing power is same. So all religions are not same in all respects, but their purchasing power is same. You can realize God by all these different paths. You can pay in terms of 4 quarters or $1 or say 10 dimes or 20 nickels, doesn't matter. Any other question? Yes?
Every yoga is a technique and they have their own instruments, right?
Yeah.
And so you call each yoga a scientific pursuit.
Yeah.
Now one thing about scientific pursuit is repeatability.
Replicability. Yeah.
Now, if you have a sample of 1 million person, you tell pretty much every million person that follow this path and you will reach the end. Now everybody says, I haven't reached the end, I have followed this path. Oh, you haven't followed the path good enough, keep doing. Is this a science?
Of course. If you do not complete the experiment, how can you validate the truth of it? If you leave the experiment getting tired, and it used to happen to me very often, that it is because these experiments were kind of too long, requiring 6-7 hours, and then halfway I used to get so tired. So forget it. Now, in that case, I will not be able to expect that truth to be experienced. You have a really, and this point is stressed by many. Oh, I did it, I followed it for 3 years, nothing happened. It is like saying that, well, I am walking from here to Los Angeles. How long is it likely to take?
2 months.
Is it enough 2 months? I don't think. It will probably, if you continue, it may take longer. But if you walk for half an hour, and I am not still able to see Los Angeles anywhere, that is not right, It is, see, we are starting from a point, most of us, where we are so attached, in fact identified with body. So it is going to take some hard, groundbreaking work when we can see some progress in life. And you will be able to see some progress. You will be able to see the milestones on it. Now, continue. Seeing the milestones will give you an enthusiasm that, so that shows I am on the right track, move forward. And also the science of that will be also seen in a personal way, in an experiential way, that what we were seeking? Happiness. So, if you are moving towards the source of happiness, you will start feeling more and more happiness in one's life. That is how you can judge from that. And that happiness will have that quality. It is not dependent on circumstances. So that is how you will see. If you are moving towards a burning incense stick, then you will feel more fragrance. That is the test of it. Whether you are, if you are, say, seeing in the mirror a incense stick burning, and you think that it is in the mirror there. If you walk towards the mirror, what will happen? You are leaving behind the incense stick, and so the fragrance will reduce. And if you are going towards the actual incense stick, the fragrance will increase. So therefore, you have to follow the path according to proper guidance. And that is important. It is not a whimsically doing something. Just as even in laboratories, you have to follow the instructions. You have to follow the instructor, the one who demonstrates, watch that demonstrator, how the demonstrator is doing, and then move. Whimsically doing something and saying that I am following the path, well, you can't get anywhere. That is why it is emphatically told that you have to have a guru who can guide you. It is, all sages have very clearly made this point, that without guru there is no progress on spiritual path. So if you do that, you will see that it will take time, doesn't matter, but you will see the signs of that progress. And it doesn't take as long as you may think if you start doing. It is, the point is that one has to start. How long it takes, let it take. One has to start. Okay, then let us now request Vishwanath to do his offertory. And sorry for stretching your patience for such a long time. And let us then, I'll give you what is going to be the subject of discussion next Sunday. It is the January 12, the birthday actually by the solar calendar, the English calendar of Swami Vivekananda, January 12. And it is, the topic is Vivekananda explaining evolution. Another important idea of science, Vivekananda explaining evolution. The Tuesday classes and Friday classes will go on as usual. Tuesdays, the topic is Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. And Friday, from last Friday, we started a new series, a new book, and that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Stories from Srimad Bhagavatam will be discussed every Friday. And of course, there are daily meditations, prayers, and all those events. You can come for all or any of these. We shall now have Arati, and then there is soup supper. Oh, prayer, yeah. Actually, thank you for reminding, Yeah. So let us close with the concluding prayer. So, and then you will go down after Arati to have some nice soup. Punita was preparing soup. She has done a nice job always. Yes? Oh, Tuesday, yoga class. Huh? Oh, okay, yes, Gita Desai. Yes, huh? Ayurveda, yeah. Gita Desai is a wonderful filmmaker on themes like yoga and music, raga, Indian classical music, and Ayurveda. So now she has completed the making of Ayurveda film. In our last Ayurveda conference in September, she had spoken about it, shown an excerpt from that movie. And that movie is going to be screened on 16th of this month, Thursday, at Newport. The address and all I will put in the newsletter, coming newsletter, and I will also put the poster out here. So, but just keep it on your calendar if you are interested in Ayurveda. Then it will be in Newport on the evening of 16th of January. Thank you. Oh, prayer. Okay, thank you. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.